want you to be an activist. And don't take our word for it. Look that shit up. Pulley. News networks are not even getting clicks like that. So this shows like there's an opportunity for this, what we're doing here on this show.
Like that's the thing. Civil rights, like we're like there's a lot of people that's benefiting off of it right now, mostly white women. But however, there's groups. I mean, shoot, the LGBT, they're benefiting off of it right now. So I mean, it worked, just not for the people who fought for it.
Let me read the comments. Doc says, we upsell desserts and alcohol to overweight people. So where is that on the good or bad way to make a money scale? That's a fair argument, Doc. But honestly, I'll talk them out of dessert.
Doc. Thank you, Doc.
I'll talk them out of dessert. I don't do that really. I push my checks up. I ain't gonna lie. But I try to be okay. I'll be fair, Doc. That's fair. Doc says, well, we could have let them keep practicing cannibalism and human sacrifice. Who are you talking about with that?
He's talking about the Europeans, like, because I mean, I don't know, for whatever reason, I thought that Doc was white himself, but however, because he might be talking about Jews. I don't know.
Doc is a white guy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But see, that's the thing, because if you really think about it, like I think I may have somewhat mentioned it before. It's like the Moors, black people went into Europe and saved. What you talking about, Aztecs? They were eating each other.
Well, there was. The Aztecs were a conquering force. That's a complex thing. I don't even want to go there because that's my actual area that I freaking study. So let me play a bit of this right here.
Senior British Royal Prince William is being called out over his comments on the war in Ukraine. The second in line to the throne apparently contrasted the crisis to conflicts in Africa and Asia, adding that, quote, it's very alien to see this in Europe. And the backlash was pretty fierce.
So after your ancestors, Prince William, stole, colonized, caused genocide on so many lands, you decided to make this statement. Your country was built on wars. It's literally your history.
How do you have a 1,000-year history of colonialism, a literal 100-year war, launch 2 world wars, allow multiple genocides, and bomb a dozen nations since 9/11 alone, yet make this type of a statement?
Prince William's comments regarding Africa and Asia are truly atrocious. You wonder if people like him are that uneducated or if this is all intentional. It's jarring that someone actually thinks Europeans are civilized and superior and the rest of us are trash.
Senior British Royal Prince William is being called out over his comments on the war in Ukraine. The second in...
Okay, so what do y'all think about that?
Propaganda.
Yep, I was just about to say that because I'm like, it's all bullshit. I mean, oh man, it's always divide and conquer strategy.
Why are they not trash now? What saved them from being totally wiped away from the planet 400 or 500 years ago?
The Moors?
The Moors.
The Arabic conquests.
Yeah, Islam. The righteousness of Islam went through and taught them how to wash their ass. Like they took them out of the Black Plague. Like,
For real.
Tell them to stop sleeping with the animals. Hey, stand up and beat some damn body. I'm sorry, I just had to go there.
Man, I mean, all I gotta say is they know how to organize, man. They could do the propaganda, which works very well. tell a lie so many times that people believe it as truth, and they can have a lot of disagreements, but these people know how to collectively come together when they want to get something done.
Yep.
Well, and see, and that's the thing. That's kind of the way that
I'll
the
co-sign that.
propaganda works. Is the people who don't understand will just listen to that and be like, "Oh yeah, okay, I get it," or whatever. But it's also there to piss off people who know better. You know what I'm saying? So
they cherry picked all those. They cherry picked all those comments too. The Twitter the tweets.
Yeah.
Let me read the comments. Dark says the Incans were the peaceful ones. If the Moors hadn't lost Southern Europe, mankind would be 100 years further along in technology. I think so too. And look, I'm going to say something controversial. And I'm not on the fan of Nazis, but if Germany would have won the war, we'd be 100 years further along in technology, maybe 200 years.
Yeah.
Who's to say they didn't win the war when they brought all their scientists from Operation Paperclip?
Well, the Nazis won. You're saying if the Nazis hadn't won, or if they did win?
Well, it seems like fascism kind of won. I'm talking about Germany, just Germany as a country, because Germany definitely lost. Germany definitely lost because the Treaty of Versailles and all the shit they had to pay, they made them do all kind of shit. They that's the reason why Germany is barely recovering to this day. But their technology.
With you seeing and knowing that, who saved them out of that? And if we look at who saved them then, it's the same people who are saving them now.
You could probably say Russia. No. That's who I would say. What are you saying? I don't know what you're saying.
I would say America. Shit, Russia didn't want
United
nothing
States?
to do with them.
Well, no, man. The United States and all that, like the money that they paid and shit. No, Germany pulled themselves up by their bootstraps after World War II. Man, they had to rebuild their whole world image.
I'm talking about the Nazis. Who saved the Nazis?
Oh, the Nazis came over here. They came over here.
America did.
They came straight over here, and they've been here since.
Yeah,
I didn't know what you was asking. Yeah,
because if you really look at it, like America really shut down Germany.
But we gotta separate the Nazis from Germany, please, people. Please, that's where the confusion is coming in, because I'm saying Germany and y'all are saying Nazis. Nazis don't represent Germany. Okay?
I know.
Nazis. I want everybody that's listening. Please understand that. This is not
separating it.
Yes, it's an ideology. It's not. It doesn't represent the German people as a whole. Even Nazism was a fringe group, anyways. Even within the time when they took over Germany, the majority of the Germans didn't feel that fucking Nazi shit. They wasn't on that shit. So no, Germans.
Did I
say
Nazis something wrong?
Are different. I'm sorry. We got confused because we was going back and forth between Germany, and Nazi.
But I specifically separated them because I said Germany and I said the Nazis.
Maybe I misunderstood, but what I'm saying is
I don't consider them the same because they pushed them out of the they were, because there's a lot of stuff that like Germany, the same way Russia is like right now. It's like no, these just not good people. I don't want.
Yeah, they got infected. They got infested by Nazis, and that's what has happened to Ukraine. It happens. They infest. That's what they do, and they spread. It's like a damn cancer, and then they teach their kids, and the kids grow up with that cancer. Anyways, my point is the technology, because Germany had, and to this day, Germany's technology is the shit. So, but the thing is, World War II dampened that whole thing. You know what I mean? Like, they had built some badass shit. They tore all that shit up after after Germany lost the war. The Allies went over there and tore up all the shit that they had made. Some of that shit was really nice shit, like libraries and shit.
Yeah.
Doc says Nazi technology won, even though the country lost. It kept going in the U.S., Russia, South Africa, and Brazil. Well, the Nazi philosophy, I wouldn't say technology, because I'm separating the two. I'm talking about the technology of the German people, because those wasn't necessary. The Nazis took advantage of the technology of the German people, the German, you know, the excellence, German excellence. He says, because all the scientists all escaped to those countries. Well, I would say the ideology escaped to those countries. Some of the science did, but the ideology didn't.
There was
And then
there were countries
and the
there were
science got
countries that
stepped
gave
on.
refuge. You got to look at it just like how they're trying to, find places for refugees now for these different countries.
Yeah,
Is exactly what they did then, and they found
and,
refuge for
and
these people.
and look
In
at those countries that he named now, like as far as their issues with apartheid, if you will. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Brazil has a bit of an apartheid state. South Africa is post-apartheid, quotation marks, and you know what I'm saying. Russia has its thing, issues, a class oligarchy thing going on over there too. So yeah, you know, I don't know what the point. I don't know. I lost my point.
well, I think that is the whole thing is that you know we started with the whole idea of where these people were and how these things kind of transmuted to the day, because I mean we're talking about what 70 years now, probably almost 80 years since a lot of these things happened, and they just rebuilt and they're coming back to really attack mankind once again. And the biggest problem for me is that most people don't see it. The propaganda that comes about, because the stuff that Prince, whatever his name is, got to say. I mean, he seems to be a part of that, just from his statements that he's making. I don't know. I'm gonna let that fly for now. I'm sure it's gonna rear its nasty head again.
Yeah. I do have a video. The mainstream media, um, um, and that's kind of what I'm talking about a bit here. And then we're gonna come back to academics and spirituality after this. But let me play this right quick. Because I don't know. I hope I didn't play this yesterday, but let me know, y'all, if I played this yesterday, because I meant to play this yesterday because we were talking about the media and shit.
Where we are right now in this country, which I feel is on the brink of complete and utter destruction, and I feel like fascism is raging, and what we know as media, the press, the fourth estate, the one thing holding back, or Hodor, if you're a Game of Thrones fan, it's the thing holding us together, has also disintegrated. Tell us what your thoughts are and talk a little bit about what is Project Censor.
Thanks for the opportunity, Karen. I really appreciate it. And given that we are really take deep dive into media and media criticism, we really appreciate you and what you do on this platform, because legacy media and establishment media tend to amplify dominant cultural views and establishment views that have very little to do with the public at large, which we criticize that the so-called mainstream press isn't very mainstream at all. It's actually elite, top-down managed news propaganda. And Project Censor—
wait, pause. You gotta say that slowly so that it seeps in. When we say mainstream media today, we are talking about what?
Mainstream media is actually corporate media or legacy media. There isn't much mainstream about 6 corporations that control 90% of what we see, hear, read, etc. And that number is down from 50 in the 1980s, when media scholar Ben Bigdickian was kind of the canary in the coal mine, sort of like warning us about the directions that we were going with corporatized, privatized media and information systems. And Project Censored was founded in 1976 as a public interest group that was founded at Sonoma State University. We work on about 20 campuses now. So we're an educational nonprofit out of Northern California. And we work with faculty and students across the country, as well as interested community members, and to showcase and highlight important, independent, grassroots, solutions-based journalism that really gives people information that they can act upon. So Projectcenter.org is where people can find information freely to get our curriculum, any of our information, our top censored and underreported stories going back to 1976. We do 25 a year. We vet hundreds of stories a year. And it's all through an educational process that focuses on critical media literacy education. We don't necessarily need gatekeepers. We don't really need fact checkers who's watching the watchers. What we need is an educated and informed public that knows how to think critically and independently on its own.
Yep. I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more with you, Mickey Huff. Okay. So the 6 corporations, just so people have an idea, I know News Corp is one of them.
We've got Disney, News Corp. I mean,
wait, pause. So Disney owns what? What media does Disney own?
ABC. I don't have the list in front of me, unfortunately. Okay. But I will tell you, if you go to Columbia Journalism, they have an ongoing, active, updated listing of who owns what. And they change. Comcast, Universal, there's ABC is owned by Disney, News Corp is Fox. But there's new players in the game now, Karen. And that's why, when we sit and we learn about, well, what are the 6 companies this month? What we're also needing to start doing is looking at the major tech companies. And of course, that's all over the news these days, quote unquote, whether it's Facebook, Alphabet, which owns Google, Facebook and Instagram. You've got, of course, now Spotify is all the rage. Somehow an entertainment platform is getting into the hot seat because journalists are saying that they're spreading misinformation. This is all while the New York Times spreads misinformation about war and foreign policy on a daily basis. Bloomberg just reported a fake headline that Russia invaded Ukraine. And over at CNN, they're bemoaning that Spotify is ruining the credibility of journalism. Guess what, Karen? The corporate media has done a great job of ruining credibility all on their own over the last couple of decades. And this has been a long time. And this is what media literacy educates people about. It shows who's the power behind the platforms, who decides and makes, quote, news judgment about what we get to hear, read, and see. And so in addition to looking at old school kinds of censorship or prior restraint, what we also look at is algorithms, bots, sock puppets, shadow banning. I mean, you name it.
Yeah, I'm all right. Went down the wrong pipe, the T.
Of ways that media can now censor, guide, and shape information and public perception, which has been a 100-year theory going back to people like Edward Bernays about how to control the public mind through information.
I have since last year made that required reading for my class at Hunter College. Ed Bernays. Propaganda, that book,
1928,
written in 1928, still relevant to this day, and it's chilling when you think about it. I'm on the site, projectcenter.org, and you talk about teaching us literacy, media literacy. Walk me through on this site where I can, everything I consume comes through my phone, right? If I'm that person and I get my news from my phone, as all my students do, they don't read a newspaper. I'm like, where do you get this? It popped up on my. I got a notification about it. I'm like, but from where?
Yeah.
It's like, what?
Our students sound very similar. So I know that we have to go through these digital channels, which is why it's all the more important to be, digitally media literate, because that is the new landscape, right? And we need to have the tools in order to deconstruct these power structures behind the messaging. So if you are on our website, for example, if you look at the top of the website, we have on the scroll the most censored stories in the newest book. We have links, of course, to our new publishing imprint. We actually are publishers now. We have a link to some of the books that we do, including A History of Fake News with Nolan Higdon. If you scroll down, the most important things I would say would be to go and look at Project Censored in the Classroom, which is all the way at the bottom of the site. But if you go at the bottom, sort of at the footer of the page, it talks about what is media censorship. What do we mean by that? We have resources for teachers and workshops for educators. We have a link on what are independent news sources that we've used and factually vetted. We have how to nominate underreported and censored stories, our archives. And again, I want to repeat Project Censored in the Classroom, because it gives educators ideas for assignments. And this is how we work with people across the country, that they have their students in real time research underreported independent stories, database, fact check them, and then look to see where they've been covered in the corporate media or not, and if so, how. And then they can nominate those stories, and our group of 28 to 30 expert judges go through hundreds of stories a year, and we distill them down to 25. Andy Lee Roth, my associate director, and I don't sit around a room.
But he's babbling now. What do y'all think about this so far, though? I think you made another good point in here.
Well, I don't know. For me personally, I think from at least the idea I got from what he's saying is that a lot of these things that we give a lot of credit to, these people, the system in which they built up, like, we almost need to just start our own. Like, we don't even necessarily have to tear theirs down. Like, we just start our own and accreditate our own, give the power to what is deserving. And we teach our kids what is really necessary, what they need, and with the right perspective.
And hope I don't get in trouble for playing that last video. I probably shouldn't have played that shit. I'm always testing the damn waters, bro. That shit gonna get me.
You are